You ever look at a pile of sawdust and see a graveyard of good intentions and expensive lumber? Because that's what my shop floor looks like after I try to do a multicolor 3D print. I swear, I spend more time watching that machine spit out little plastic poop coils than actually building anything.
Is that why the trash can looks like a rainbow exploded in it? I was going to ask if you'd started a new career in confetti manufacturing.
It's the purge towers, Alex. To get those beautiful multicolor prints on a single nozzle, the machine has to vomit out the old color every time it switches. It's like eating a whole steak just to get one bite of potato. But apparently the folks at Bamboo Studio finally sat down and realized we're all crying over our filament bills. Their new update is basically begging people to move toward multi-nozzle hardware.
Or, they could just make the software smarter. But Buy More Gear is a very Tiger-approved solution.
Hey, I'm a fan of efficiency. If I can have 4 nozzles doing the heavy lifting instead of 1 nozzle masquerading as a paintbrush, I'm saving hours of my life. And speaking of saving, have you seen this Creality M1 unit? It's a filament maker. You feed it your mistakes, those failed prints and support structures, and it grinds them down and melts them back into a fresh spool.
Wait, so you're telling me you want a machine to fix the mess made by your other machine? That sounds like a rabbit hole that ends with you living in a house made of recycled PLA.
It's about the circular economy of the shop. Imagine never having to wait for a delivery because you can just cook up your own custom blend of tiger teal out of last week's scraps. It's pure alchemy. And Elegoo's jumping in too with the Canvas system. We're reaching a point where high-speed, multi-material printing isn't just for the guys with NASA budgets. It's becoming the standard for the guy in his garage with a cold beer and a dream.
I'll believe it when I see a print that doesn't have a spaghetti incident halfway through. But shifting gears, since you mentioned NASA budgets, there's a massive chunk of change moving into the trades right now. $43 million in grants for vocational training.
43 million, man, think of how many chisels that could buy.
Focus, Tiger. It's for people, not tools. It's an initiative to get 50,000 fresh faces into the skilled trades. But the interesting part isn't just the money, it's what they're being taught. The CIO over at Consigli is saying that AI isn't coming for the hammers. It's coming for the clipboards.
And thank the stars for that. Look, I love the smell of cedar, but I absolutely despise the smell of a spreadsheet. Estimating a job is the most stressful part of the craft. You're basically trying to predict the future with a blindfold on. How many linear feet? How much did the cost of copper jump since breakfast? If AI can give us surgical precision on a bid, it stops us from undercutting ourselves into poverty.
Valid. But you've seen the horror stories. Kids go into trade school thinking it's the debt-free alternative, and then they end up with high-interest private loans because they didn't do their homework on the funding.
That's the bitter pill. You can't just jump into the deep end because someone promised you a life jacket. You've got to hunt for those grants. If there's 43 million floating around, don't be the person paying 7% interest for a welding certificate. It's like buying a premium slab of walnut and then cutting it with a butter knife. You're wasting the potential of the material.
Speaking of material, let's talk about your favorite topic, selling yourself. You're a maker mogul now, Tiger, or at least that's what your Instagram bio says this week.
I'm a mogul of a very small hill, Alex. But the game is changing. In 2026, nobody cares how good your dovetails are if they don't know why you're making them. I've been looking at how guys like Russell Brunson handle marketing. It's not just, look at this table, please buy it. It's about the hook, story, offer.
So you're saying I should expect more dramatic monologues while you're sanding?
Exactly. Instead of just showing the finished piece, I want people to see the lightning-struck oak it came from. I want them to hear about the 3 hours I spent picking splinters out of my palm because I was too stubborn to wear gloves. You sell the struggle, then the solution, then the piece. People aren't buying furniture. They're buying a story they can tell their dinner guests.
It's the lead magnet strategy, right? I saw a guy giving away a free guide on how to fix a leaky faucet just to get people onto his email list. It's clever. Position yourself as the expert before they even need to hire you.
It's the long game. You plant the seeds in the spring so you can eat in the winter. If you're a maker and you aren't capturing emails, you're basically shouting into a hurricane and hoping someone hears your price list.
All right, enough business school. My hands are itching to actually build something. What's on the docket for the weekend? I saw the plans for that custom cabinet humidor on your desk.
Oh, that's the boss level project. That's where fine woodworking meets a science experiment. You're dealing with Spanish cedar, which smells like heaven, but behaves like a temperamental teenager. And you have to get a seal so tight that a molecule of air has to ask permission to leave. It's all about the joinery. If your tolerances are off by a hair, your cigars turn into expensive sticks of hay.
And for those of us who don't want to spend 40 hours crying over a humidor,
Then you go for the quick win, the magnetic walnut tool holder. I saw a design on a maker channel that I'm obsessed with. You take a beautiful slab of walnut, drill out the back, and resin in some neodymium magnets. From the front, it just looks like a floating piece of wood. Then you toss a wrench at it, and thwack, it stays. It's the kind of project that makes your shop look 10 times more expensive than it actually is.
I might actually try that. My organization system currently involves a pile in the corner of the garage.
We call that the gravity-based filing system. But look, if you're tight on space, take a leaf out of the Japanese shop books. My latest obsession is putting every single tool on heavy-duty casters,
Even the workbench?
especially the workbench. If you can't dance with your tools, your shop is too small. In those tiny Tokyo workshops, they have these ingenious ways of nesting machines. You want to be able to reconfigure your entire floor plan in 5 minutes. It makes a 10 by 10 shed feel like a cathedral.
Well, we've covered everything from AI calculated bids to magnetic wood. What's the one thing people should take away from today? Besides, don't buy a single nozzle printer if you hate waste.
I think it's the realization that the old way and the new way aren't fighting each other. Using AI to bid on a job doesn't make you less of a craftsman. Using a 3D printer for a prototype doesn't mean you're cheating. The real mastery is knowing which tool, whether it's a chisel or an algorithm, is going to help you bring your vision into the world with the least amount of heartbreak.
Spoken like a man who has definitely had his heart broken by a piece of white oak before.
More times than I care to admit. But that's why we're here, right? To make better mistakes today than we did yesterday.
I'll drink to that, preferably out of a cup I didn't 3D print.
Good call. Happy building, everyone. We'll see you in the den.